Good morning, professionals you trust. This morning we have Leslie McFadden with Real Living Northwest Realtors giving us our presentation of the week. We always have her answer 3 questions ahead of time so you can get to know a little bit about her before we kick off. And here are the 3 she chose this week. First is, do you prefer cardio or weightlifting? I love that one. Both. She says each one satisfies something different. Weightlifting strengthens the parts of my body that are starting to yell at me. Cardio is my escape. Give me a treadmill with a good incline and I can quickly picture myself climbing a mountain. Love that. What was your favorite subject in high school? Ooh, debate class, she says, was her favorite. One of the beautiful things about this world is that we are all different. Learning to communicate with each other in a productive way is essential. And finally, what's your favorite family tradition? Her dad and her siblings celebrate a family holiday called Dead Towel Day. What? 34 years ago, we were stuck in a truly sad situation. True, pure belly laughter and tears of joy in an unexpected instance cut through the ugly stress and created an unbreakable bond with us and our dad. Every year, our family shares this very special day with each other and all around us. It reminds us that you can overcome anything to celebrate the good in your life. And with that, let's kick it off.
Thank you, Tanya. Yeah, actually, Dead Towel Day was just March 7th, so that was just a thing. Right, let me share my screen. Go into presentation mode. All right, good morning. I thought I would start by reviewing my resume one more time since we have some guests here today. So, like I said, I have been a full-time realtor since 2005. That means I got to sell through the Great Depression, that I call it, or the meltdown. Before that, I was in corporate interior design, where I designed conference rooms, reception areas, cubicle layouts. It was very, very fun. It took my project management logistics from the Army and also my love for design, and I got to do that for 9 years. So as soon as my daughter was old enough, I became a full-time realtor. I've done over 465 transactions, which averages about 25 to 30 a year. And because the reason that's relevant is because you know that I am constantly in a real estate transaction. So the advice that I give is absolutely relevant. It's based on something I did yesterday, as opposed to the average realtor with Seattle King County Realtors does about 5 to 6 transactions a year, just to give you a comparison. On average, I'm selling my listings at 118% list to sell, which means I'm selling 18% over most of the time. My certifications are in negotiation. It's actually my favorite part of my job. My assistant Carol will tell you that that's her least favorite part, and she never wants to do that. So we definitely stay in our own lanes. But negotiation certification is not required with any realtors, and it just blows me away that that is the case. It's the most important part of our job, and I keep that certification for a reason. I'm also certified in condo law. I help people build new homes. I'm certified in relocation, so I work with relocation companies bringing people here to the Seattle area and also helping them leave. And I also teach continuing ed to realtors. So that's my resume in a quick 30-second review. Again, I have a team, and this enables me to function differently than most realtors. So my job is to negotiate the best deal and to spend time with the clients, making sure that everyone understands our negotiation strategy, helping me solve their problems. It also allows me to network and tell other people what we're doing, and making sure everyone gets the attention that they deserve. So in turn, Carol does all the things that most realtors hate to do. Day-to-day team operations, she manages all my forms, she makes sure that I signed everything where I'm supposed to sign it, everyone initialed, we're fully in contract, we're not getting in trouble. I have her be fully licensed as a realtor because that enables me to use her any way that I need. It's not an admin role. It's not a normal secretary assistant role. And a lot of realtors try to do that with like virtual assistants and what have you, and it just doesn't work because it limits you. So I'm happy to have her. Our firm also has massive support for us. We have a firm administrator, and then she also has an assistant. And then my firm owners are super involved. Kiyoki is probably the best designated broker I've ever worked for, and a super good resource. All right, Today, I want to focus on offer review dates. A lot of people don't know what this really means. It's kind of obvious as far as a definition, but what does it really mean to a real estate transaction? So, an offer review is basically a date that the listing agent and their client have sat down and said, okay, we're going to go on the market on this day, and then we're not going to review any offers until this day. And it's advertised to the consumer and to the other buyer's agents. And so a different strategy goes into play when we're working with this. A lot of buyers get frustrated with offer review dates because they feel like they're falling in love with a house and they have to wait 4 days. But I see it as an opportunity for both parties, and I would like to review that today. So this is a strategy that has come about in this market because of low inventory. And low inventory is just like the picture. It's only one house for sale and a sea of many that aren't. And so when you're working with a buyer, you could run into 25 other people who want the house that your buyers just fell in love with crying, right? So your job as a buyer's agent is to, one, help them navigate the process and also help them secure the house that's going to work for their family. So definitely a lot of emotion goes into it, but when you add strategy to an emotional situation, it really calms that down. So I'll go into that a little bit more. So the true market value of a property right now, especially, cannot be determined unless it goes to market. A property is worth what someone is willing to pay for it, not necessarily what it would appraise for. So we have to, as selling agents, working for the seller, we have to let it go and be exposed for at least 2 to 3 days, or you're just not realizing the true market value. Another thing that's happening right now that wasn't happening like beginning of the pandemic is that the sellers are doing a pre-inspection. They're actually hiring home inspectors to do a pre-inspection so that they can attach it to the listing or supply it to people after they see the property, so that that buyer doesn't have to spend the money on doing an inspection of their own before bidding on the house. It used to be that you would have to do a pre-inspection as a buyer, fork out $500 and then lose the house. And that just becomes a very frustrating situation. And I think it benefits the sellers for their buyers not to be frustrated. So I think that's why that's becoming a trend. So, how does a seller select an offer? As a listing agent, I have so much fun preparing for offer review date. You may have seen in the past a picture of me with 7 stacks in front of me that Carol took of me, getting ready to receive our sellers at our office and go over each offer. We do a cheat sheet on top of each one with the terms, the price, what our recommendation would be, and which one we like. A lot of times, love letters are accompanied there. We do not share those with our clients because you should not choose a house or choose a buyer based on their familial status. You should choose it based on their terms. So the offer review process is something that I'll go over at a future date, but it is definitely interesting. So you have to think of, what is a seller looking for? There's emotion behind it, right? Not only the buyer is emotional, but the seller is emotional. A listing agent has sat down with them and said, you could possibly get $300,000 more than we're asking. And they don't believe them. They've never been through the process, possibly. They do not believe their listing agent until it actually starts happening. So that right there is an opportunity for a buyer to maybe take advantage of that excitement. So that's something I'll talk about here in a second. Do they have to stick to the offer review date? No. It's so bad. The only person who really has to be ethical is the listing agent, but they cannot control their seller. So the seller could be like, holy crap, we have 3 or 4 offers coming in. I'm not waiting. And then you've just told everyone that you're waiting. So it becomes a sticky situation. It's vital for the 2 agents to talk and develop a relationship so that their clients are winning. Does a buyer only get one shot? So an offer review day is where all these things come together. Will you get a call if you could maybe make your offer better? Maybe. It depends on the relationship that your agent is making with that other agent. Vital for those 2 to talk. And is a seller inspection a quality inspection? It is. They're all done by certified inspectors. You can call the inspector, you can ask questions. It is definitely a quality inspection. So why is an offer review date good for a seller? It calms the chaos and controls the process. It spurs on early bully offers, such as something that's $300,000 over list price. Price the property right at market data supported price so that you can have bidding wars and promote the demand. Why is an offer review date good for a buyer? You would think that there's probably not a good reason, but it is a very good opportunity for me as your buyer's agent to learn what that seller is looking for, develop a relationship with that listing agent. They will want to work with me because of the way that I communicate with them. And they're telling me how to put together a winning offer for their client. So I'm looking for different cues as to how to make that relevant advice to my buyer. So it allows you to use urgency as a tool as a buyer. So you go and see this house the first time it comes on the market, the first day, and you're like, oh my God, I'm in love, and they're not reviewing until Monday. What do I do? Well, that seller is also feeling the urgency because they just started this process that they don't believe until it's going to happen, right? So there is some emotion there that we can play on. It allows me time to develop a relationship with the seller, but also my client developing a relationship with the seller by way of me communicating maybe who they are, what their goals are, what their flexibility is, things like that. It also allows you time to possibly see the house twice. Not a crazy statement? Second showings used to be a thing. They weren't the last couple of years, but an offer review date does kind of slow that process down so you can really be calculated about your decision. And it allows you time to determine what you are actually willing to pay. As a buyer's agent, the first thing I do is I do a comparable analysis and I tell my buyer what I think the house is worth, not what it's listed for. List price is a moving target for sometimes, and it's also sometimes not really accurate. So it is my job to tell my buyer what I think it's worth. So that's just a little insight on offer review dates. And after we stop the recording, I'll open it for Q&A. But I appreciate all of you and your referrals and your constant continued support. Again, Leslie McFadden with Leslie McFadden Real Estate, your resource in real estate.